Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia. I'm coming to you from the UK, and today is Sunday, the 27th of August 2023. I am so glad you're joining me today to talk about some yarn, some knitting, anything and everything to do with yarn that I've been up to in the last week or so. So if you're here for the first time, then welcome to you, and if you are coming back, thank you so much for being a returning viewer. You will notice that I'm sitting in a different spot today because honestly I've been struggling with the lighting in this room, which is my sort of yarny office in the loft of our house. And I recently got a new desk and a new setup here, so I thought I'd switch it up. I'm recording quite late in the day, it's like 5:30-ish, so we'll see how it goes, and maybe we can improve on it next time. Alright, I have a couple of finished objects. I have my new pattern, which is really exciting to me at least. And I also have some works in progress. So I don't want to just like become a sort of running advertisement. So I think we should start with the finished objects that are not my new pattern. You will remember last time I was working on my woolly waffles hat by Stephen West. This new like woolly waffle collection, which I thought was really fun. And this is the hat. I talked about this last week. It is basically a double hat. So it's got the stockinette on the inside, or you can turn it around and have a stockinette hat, or you can, do like a funky foldy thing. There's many different ways to wear this. I haven't really worked out what my way of wearing this is going to be. But it turned out really cute. I really like it. So this is it with the waffle texture. I think it's not too crazy. I really like it. It fits really well. The yarn that I used for this was Pearl Soho Good Wool in their... Sorry, I've just messed up my hair, of course. Pearl Soho Good Wool, which I used to make the Pearl Soho blanket, the prism blanket, and this was leftovers. So I should weigh it to tell you how much yarn it used. I will tell you next week, but yeah, this was my sample. So the pattern only comes in one size, which I think is a bit of a shame considering it's a 4-stitch repeat. So this would have been really easy to just write for a couple of sizes. It also is very easy to modify into a children's hat, but Stephen could have done that for us, I think, personally. But yeah, I love this one. And as you might remember, I also made one for the toddler, and I have not woven in. I have woven in my ends, I just haven't snipped them. But this is the toddler version that I made. So I cast on a couple less stitches. I talked about how much, I think, last week. I don't remember, honestly. Was it 72? And for this one, I held 2 yarns double. I held a Hedgehog Fibers sock yarn, which is the sort of yellow and pink, together with Drops Merino or Baby Merino, which is a fingering to sport weight, I would say. And I used the Drops yarn to make my toddler his quilt or his, cot blanket last year, I think. And this one looks kind of funny because it hasn't been worn yet, except for him trying it on, and I obviously blocked it lying down. But yeah, this one turned out really well as well. Toddler loves it. I finished it just in time for his birthday, so in the morning when he tried it on and opened all of his presents, it was still like the tiniest bit wet. But yeah, it fits like a glove. It's perfect. I think this would be a really good sort of gift hat because it is quite sort of stretchy and comfortable. And for this one, as you can tell, I didn't do the lining. I just basically did half the hat. I only did the texture pattern. And I think I'm going to make him a couple of hats, even though this is the second hat I've made for him this summer for sort of next autumn. So he's not going to run out of hats anytime soon. But then again, can you have enough like fun, colorful hats if you're 3? So yeah, that is the toddler version. I really like it. And this was a really fun pattern to knit as well. I think I used a 3.75mm needle to sort of roughly get gauge. Yeah, so those are my hats. And very quickly, I'm going to show you my new pattern because I'm really excited about it. So I mentioned a lot about like my life plans and what I'm doing and what I'm getting up to last week. So if you want to get caught up on that, maybe go back an episode. Essentially, I was going to put a lot of time into like knitwear design, and then just as I was ready to do so and had a couple of like designs on the go, I got a new job, and that has been basically, shifting my focus completely. So I just wanted to get this design out into the world before I do start my new job in about 2 weeks. So I've decided to release this, and it is excuse the end, so professional as always. It is a cabled mitten. It's a cabled fingerless mitten that I dreamed up in like the hottest days of August, because I have been so ready for autumn/fall. I am so ready for it, and I'm dropping my mitten, sorry. So this is the original yarn I picked, which is West Yorkshire Spinners, their Blueface Leicester DK weight. So I think this is called West Yorkshire Spinners Fleece DK. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful yarn. I feel like I've used it in the past and didn't really like it, and now I cannot tell you why, because I absolutely love it. It is so cozy. The lighting is not doing it any justice, so I'm going to be including some photos of it somewhere, and I'm also trying it over my watch, but it does fit. So this was my original sample that I did, and it's this beautiful cable that sort of goes from the rib into the mitten and then back and out into the rib. And I've called these my Frosty Path mitts, because these sort of small mitts just remind me so much of like walking about like in the woods and everywhere with my son. Like it'll take us hours to get anywhere, and we'll stop at like every single stone and stick, and somehow this just made me think of that. And in terms of the yarn choice, what I decided to do is I wanted to make this really easy, so you can use what you have or you can have in stash. So I've chosen to use a gauge that you can either, use just a simple DK weight, like this West Yorkshire spinner yarn, like it's very like woolly. I think like DK is just very easy. Or what you can do, and I've done this sort of more, I don't want to say springy, but less autumnal color here. This is a sock yarn held together with a mohair lace. So this is sock yarn and silk mohair. For this one I used a Recoat Superba Tweed sock yarn that I had in stash. So it's got like these tiny tweedy flecks. And I've combined it with a mohair from Nora Yarns. But you can basically use any silk mohair. Or what you could do, similar to what I did with my hat, is you could hold 2 strands of sort of light fingering double. So if you have, woolly knit or hold super soft, any of those kinds of yarns, you could also use them held double. So I think this is a really, really good pattern for, using what you have. And honestly, it goes so quickly. I think I could knit a pair of these in a weekend for sure, possibly even in a day. So I think I'm going to be making these and possibly even using these samples for gifts, like Christmas gifts, because yes, I am thinking about Christmas. I am crazy. And I think these will be quite versatile. Like they're fast to knit up, they're really cozy, they're nice and thick, so you actually won't have cold hands. I love a fingerless mitt just because I'm on my phone, I'm getting stuff out of my bag or doing stuff with my toddler all the time. So I find these fingerless gloves I wear a lot more than proper sort of closed gloves, which I just end up like taking on and off all the time. Yeah, so that is my pattern. It is on Ravelry and Payhip. I will include the links below. And until Labor Day Monday, which is Monday in a week, you can get 20% off all of my patterns actually on both platforms using the coupon code FrostyPath. I will link all of that below, and please, no pressure. Please don't feel like you have to buy these. I just, obviously put some work into them, so I was going to show them on the podcast. And if you do want to knit some either for yourself or for gifts, obviously I would love to see them. My test knitters did such an amazing job because I went in guns blazing. I had all these things planned, and then I got sucked into job interviews and like a whole different sort of, just different topics. And I was not as present as I would have liked, and they just sort of went along with it, which was really, really great. So yeah, those are my Frosty Path mitts, and I really do hope that you enjoy them. And we shall move on to some works in progress before the lighting just completely goes. I'm sorry, the lighting isn't great. We're just working with what we've got, essentially. So I didn't think I was making much progress over the last week. Like, I feel like my knitting time has just gotten away from me. But then once I brought everything up, I feel like I actually did make some knitting progress. So I'll show that to you very quickly. On my Skein Eastlander sweater, I have finished one sleeve, and honestly, I feel like I've been working on this sleeve for about a lifetime. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's no reason why this has taken me so long, but this project has turned into such a slog. I am sort of over it right now, if I'm being honest, but I just need to keep going. I just need to knit the second sleeve, and then I don't have that much more to go on the body, but I want to finish the sleeves first. So I have finished one sleeve. I've done my own sort of sleeve shaping, which I tend to do. So in terms of the modifications on the pattern, I've followed the pattern except for making the armhole deeper, because I feel like her armholes tend to be sort of tight. That was definitely the case for my Otra, which I also knit, which is a very, very similar construction of Ellie's of Skein. So for this one, I think instead of, was it 17 centimeters for the armhole, I did 20. And then I just did my own decreases, and it looks kind of messy, but that's just because it's been crumpled up. And this cuff, I have knit and ripped out and re-knit 3 times, but now it is perfect. I really wanted this to be a nice and tight cuff. And as for the neckline, I went down to a 2.25 millimeter sock needle for the ribbing. So this takes a while, but I think it'll be so worth it. Like, it almost feels like a shop bought sort of sweater with a really nice thick cuff, which I really, really love. So yeah, one sleeve done, one more to do. The second sleeve I have done basically to the point where now I just need to knit straight. I think I've done all the decreases. So I just need to sit down and knit the second sleeve and find motivation, essentially. But one is done, one more to go. Basically only half a sleeve to go, and then I will be off Sleeve Island for this one. Staying on the topic of sweaters, I have also worked on my peacock sweater / tee by Linne Holmer Sanso. Still haven't figured out how to pronounce that. I am so sorry. But this is, I'm knitting her peacock tee, but I'm turning it into a sweater, and you can hopefully see it's got some beautiful lace, which will really only open up once I block it. And what I've done basically yesterday and today while watching F1 is I have finished the stockinette part of the body, and now I am working on the bottom rib. So I need to try it on actually and see how much more I need to do. And this is knit out of Fiberco Amble in the Fair Hill colorway. I haven't even mentioned my Eastlander is knit out of JC Rennie Super Soft and New Lanark Spinning Mill. All of these things should be in my Ravelry pages once I update them, so I will aim to do that later. So hopefully you should find everything in my Ravelry, unless you cannot use Ravelry, in which case just drop me a comment and I will answer your question there. Okay guys, the lighting gods are not with me today. There is a reason why I shouldn't be recording so late, but I just wanted to get this episode out there and quickly show you my last sort of work in progress that I've been actively working on, which is this linen quill shawl. This is my Value Study scarf by Soho, which is knit using 2 really cool bases. And again, I'm not sponsored. This is just my opinion, my money that I'm spending. It's using this linen quill, Pearl Soho linen quill, which is looking very, very radiant. It's not that crazy in terms of color. This is colorway Peachy Pink. How do I show this to you? There you go. And you combine it with basically what is a fade of their sweetgrass base, which is a alpaca and cotton blend, and it's undyed. So I'm guessing they're using different colored alpaca fiber to blend with the cotton to create all these different colors. And what you're doing is you're knitting basically 2-color garter stitch, so you keep slipping the stitches back and forth, and there is a lot of purling in this. But it creates a really cool, very, very subtle fade, which is being blown out here. And I think it's only really gonna show up once I finish, because you're basically, the darkest color I think is this one, and the lightest color is this one, so there's gonna be quite a contrast. And I think it's gonna be a really sort of elegant piece to wear, and just the combination of these different fibers, it's already like really drapey, really beautiful. And once I block it, and I think it's gonna be a really good sort of piece, because I'm starting to think, what am I going to wear, you know, commuting into London, working, possibly a bit of a stricter sort of dress code. I'm not sure about the dress code yet, but I just got myself a new sort of work backpack, which is going to be this light, almost beige leaning gray, and looking at that next to the scarf is just giving me all the feels right now. I think it's gonna look really cool. And so yeah, I am very excited about this. Originally I thought this was going to be a real labor of love, and it is. I mean, I'm using 3.25mm needles, and half the rows are pearl rows, but I'm also really enjoying it. It's quite meditative to knit. The only sort of thing to keep in mind is the edging, which is slightly weird. You basically carry one yarn the whole time and sort of wrap the other one around it, which it's a free pattern. I'm not giving anything away. It's very simple, but it took me a while to figure out exactly what they meant. But it does create a neat edge, even though if I were to knit this again, which I might think about doing an I-cord edging, because I think that would also look very beautiful, and it would be much sort of simpler. And with these contrast colors, I'm not using very much of each color at all, so I need to weigh this. I feel like I've maybe used 20 or 30 grams per color of my sort of contrasting cotton alpaca yarn. So I could make 2 or 3 of these shawls if I wanted to. So in terms of money, the initial investment is quite a bit of yarn that you're buying. You're basically buying 5 whole 100 gram skeins of the sweetgrass, and then you're pairing it with 2 skeins of your main color, for which I used the Pearl Soho. I had the linen quill in stash, so I only had to buy these. But if you were to buy all the yarns for this project, I feel like it would be quite pricey. But then again, if you can make 2 or 3 projects out of these cotton alpaca skeins, it definitely becomes more worth it. So yeah, hoping to knit some more of these color study scarves in the future. Yeah, so that is basically what I've been knitting on, but I have also made some progress on my Fireside Blanket. Honestly, I'm in love with crochet. I didn't know that about myself, but I'm really, really enjoying the crochet at the moment. So this is the Fireside Blanket by Attic24, which is a free pattern, and I bought the kit from Wool Warehouse, which is a Stylecraft acrylic kit. I think it's their heathered colorways, which are really beautiful actually. And this white marker is where I was last week. So I have finished this 3rd row and have now started sort of this, I don't know if you call it the 4th or the 4th and 5th row with the big squares again. And it's going really fast. I'm really, really enjoying this. I feel like I'm turning into a crocheter. And yeah, if you have some crochet podcast recommendations that are sort of mainly blankets, let me know, because I don't really watch any crocheters, and I'm not super interested in crochet garments or the little animals and all of like the more playful crochet things. But I'm definitely enjoying blankets. So if you have any recommendations of video podcasts for me to watch, maybe other people who enjoy these Attic 24 patterns, I would love to hear about them, so do let me know. And I mentioned last time or the time before that I am working my ends in as I go, and there's a really good webpage from Cherry Heart that they explain how they recommend you crochet your ends in as you go, so I'm going to attempt to link that as well because I thought that was really useful. So I just snipped off my ends yesterday, but I literally just work them in as I'm working on the squares, which is great because there are a lot of ends. This is my backside, and if I had to weave all these ends in, I would never make this project. Like, it would just not happen. But this way, it's really easy. I love this look. Basically, I'm going to continue making these small and larger squares, and then eventually I'll make a big border with all the leftover yarn around it. So I'm really excited for this to turn into an actual big blanket. Although even now, like, the size is not too bad. I always think it's so magical when you start out with these tiny little, like, you start with the circles and then you turn them into squares, and suddenly you go from these tiny, like, itty bitty things to this fabric. Like, how amazing is that? So yeah, I've been making some good progress on that, and I'm honestly quite excited to continue on this tonight. So yeah, crochet bug has hit me. Last but not least, I should probably mention what I am wearing. This is my Rowan felted tweed cardigan that I knit over the last couple of episodes. So if you are interested in that and haven't watched those, please feel free to go back. Essentially, it is a improvised steeked cardigan. So I put in 2 steeks, well, 1 steek, to turn what was a sweater in the round into a cardigan. I don't know why there are ends hanging off it. I thought I had woven them all in, but apparently I had not. But this is just so soft. This is Rowan felted tweed in the duck egg colorway, which I mentioned before. I had this yarn in stash for years and years, and I was actually even going to de-stash it because I wasn't in love with the color. And I'm so glad I didn't, because I really truly enjoyed working with the yarn, and now wearing it, it is suddenly, I don't know how, because it doesn't feel super soft when you're working with it, but suddenly it feels so soft and cozy. And I have actually purchased 2 more sweater quantities of this yarn because I really like it. And again, I need to work on my wardrobe for autumn. I am very excited about autumn, if you haven't realized. We're definitely at the point now where the mornings are kind of crisp, and I'm thinking about all the, autumn and winter knitting. I mean, I just published a mitten pattern. Of course I'm thinking about autumn. I'm I love autumn. I love the colder weather. I feel like we've had a good summer, even though here in the UK it hasn't been a warm summer. But I've had enough sunshine, I've had enough, sunscreen and hats and all of that. I'm ready to be cozy, and I am really excited. Alright, I think that is it in terms of the podcast. I'm sorry if it's been a bit all over the place in terms of lighting, and yeah, I'm just moving things around. I am, setting up my working space up here. We're also reshuffling a house a bit, and tomorrow is Bank Holiday Monday here in the UK, and the day after we are gonna have builders for the rest of the week and no hot water because we're getting our new boiler, so that should be interesting. And yeah, my son had his birthday last week. We had his birthday party yesterday, which involved 8 kids running around the house. So it's all been a bit crazy, but I'm hoping now it's all going to, I don't want to say to settle down because it probably won't, but I hope the chaos will gradually become a bit less, and I can just sit and knit and crochet and yeah, get ready for autumn, because I am in the mood for autumn. Alright, so I think that is it for today. If you've watched until now, thank you so much for watching this podcast. Thank you also so much for those of you who continue to support my patterns and all of that. Please use the discount code if you do want to get any of the patterns. That's what it's there for. And until I see you again, I hope all of you have a lovely weekend, a lovely week. Have a lovely Labor Day weekend if you're in the US, and I will see you very, very soon. Happy knitting! Bye!